Welcome to Season 2, Episode 25 of the BRASH Sports Podcast, brought to you by hauling all of your groceries inside in one trip. There he is, the strongest man in the neighborhood. He'd rather die than make 2 trips to the car after going to the store. His arms are sore. His fingers struggle to clinch the thin plastic bags that are stretched beyond their means. A modern-day warrior, he leaves no man behind, and when he gets to the kitchen, he takes comfort in the fact that he's inside for good. Right up until the point he realizes he left his phone in the cup holder and has to go back anyway. Fuck. Oh well, at least he proved how much a man he is, and you can too after going to the store. And when you do, be sure to use promo code BRASH91 to save yourself a trip back out to the car. Hauling all your groceries inside one trip. Don't leave any bags out in your whip. Carry them all in one trip. Brandon, what's going on, man? Busy week here at Brash Sports, but we got a good episode ahead of us. I can already sense it. I can feel it all the way deep down in my plums.
Took us a while to get back in the swing of things after the Super Bowl. I mean,
back from Glendale.
Here we are, our Super Bowl recap episode, and it feels like the Super Bowl was already 3 months ago. So,
that's so true. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, what even happened? Who won that thing? I can't even remember.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We'll get you up to speed. But we do. Good. We have some other headlines to get through real quick before we get to our Super Bowl 57 recap. And of course, Josh, got to kick things off with the Washington Commanders, who have officially found their new offensive coordinator / assistant head coach, hiring Eric Bieniemy. Again, every time I say that, I feel like I'm saying it wrong, to a 2-year deal. Very surprising. If somebody would have told me really 2 weeks ago that this was going to happen, I would have bet them every penny I have that it wouldn't, because why would he leave Kansas City to come to Landover to have the exact same position? But you reminded me, he wants to be in full control of the offense, be the designated play caller, and he did not have that liberty with the Chiefs and Andy Reid. So this is probably his best bet to finally get over that hump and eventually become a head coach, which in all likelihood, signing a 2-year deal, also inking it as the assistant head coach of the Commanders, it's looking like he's probably sitting in line waiting behind Ron Rivera until that contract's up, because we got new ownership coming in, a lot of moving pieces throughout the next few years.
Yeah, I got to imagine that's why the Commanders pursued him as hard as they did, and that's why he took it, because he interviewed 9 times for head coaching positions and never got it, and I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with how much Andy Reid controls the offense over in Kansas City, and Bieniemy is sick and tired of playing second fiddle, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if it's me, I want to stay with the Chiefs. Like, this news surprised me too. I remember seeing, like, earlier in the day when this news broke, that he was meeting with them, and there were rumors about him going to Washington. And I was like, well, that'll never happen. Like, why would anybody leave the Chiefs? But the more you look into it, the more it actually makes sense. And who knows? He could be a phenomenal head coach. So the Commanders looking long term, looking toward the future. I think a lot of teams are going to look around and go, okay, defensive-minded head coaches are not working right now. The coaches that are getting teams all the way to and through the Super Bowl are offensive-minded coaches. So I think that's going to be a trend in the future, and I think they're kind of planning for that. So love the move by Washington. I think it's really smart, which you can't say that very often. So
I'm absolutely thrilled with it, because, again, I didn't think it was a possibility. I think he's a great offensive mind. He finally gets the opportunity to call the plays, and we'll see what he can do with a pretty decent offensive roster in the Redskins. And
quarterback is obviously the big question mark.
Big question.
He's going to have better wide receivers than he had in Kansas City. I mean, running backs are equal, if not better. Tight end, big step down, but that's whatever.
That's going to be any team.
You look at the wide receivers, though, they're phenomenal compared. And so if he can just get in there and go, all right, how do we just play to this guy's strengths and get these wide receivers really involved because they're all hyper athletic and just good at getting after the ball. He could, I mean, a good system makes any quarterback perform well, right? Or at least beyond what they're typically capable of. Look at Shanahan's system, right? Pretty much anyone can play in that thing. So if you can set that up in Washington, great, because then you get Sam Howell on the cheap for a few years. You can draft another guy. You can bring a
Yep.
veteran in. You can still win. Um, I, dude, it's a great move. It is a
And
great move.
and if he does get the Commanders over 500 this upcoming season with Sam Howell, then
Yeah,
he's just a lock for a head coaching position somewhere, if not
right.
DC. Derek Carr, officially a free agent. He has hit the market after being released by the Raiders. We all saw this coming. They had to part ways with him before giving him a huge payday.
Yep.
Something like, what was it? It was a shit ton of money. Like
It was like 40 million or something.
was it
Crazy.
40? Okay, I was going to say 30 mil. But
I
yeah,
could
I
be
mean,
talking out of my ass, but
and also he wasn't making things easy with them. I think he's a bit spiteful towards the Raiders and how he was handled towards the end of the season. And he had that no trade clause, so he wasn't going to give them an opportunity to dictate his next spot and also benefit from him going somewhere else and in terms of gaining anything from his departure. So Derek Carr now gets to make his own decisions, right? He gets to shop
yeah.
around, and we'll see where he ends up.
And the other thing that's big about that, right, is that a team is going to have to give up draft picks or players to get him, right? If they're trading to the Raiders. And he's going to look at it as, okay, why am I going to hurt the team I'm going to, right? When I don't have
Yeah,
to. They're just going
it's
to
a good
cut
point.
me. So why would I make the team I'm going to give up potential weapons that I could be utilizing? So, yeah, he played it right. Good for him.
And there's a quite a list of teams. I mean, you could probably put 10 teams on the list that would be in the market for Derek Carr.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I would agree. I mean, dude, it's a quarterback league. Like, if you don't have a top 5 guy, you're always looking to improve at that position. So, any teams other than Kansas City, Buffalo, Bengals, right? The Jaguars aren't gonna make a
yeah,
move. They don't need to. The Chiefs or
yeah.
the Chargers are good. So, yeah, I mean, even teams like the Giants, I would hope would look after him, right? When you go, well, Daniel Jones led you to the playoffs, yeah, but Derek Carr is a big upgrade there, so it's worth a phone call if nothing else. Um, so yeah, I think a lot of teams are going to be after him. He's only met with the Saints and Jets so far, but I think he'll meet with quite a few, and I think I know where he'll land, but I don't know if we're predicting that or not. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I didn't want to say anything in case you had that saved as one of your bold predictions.
It's not. It is
Okay,
not.
because yeah, I mean, really, I think somebody could convince me of any team if they had a strong enough argument. Because I could see him really going anywhere. I kind of like Miami as a dark horse though in this
Ooh,
one. Not many people talking about the Dolphins,
no.
just assuming Tua's gonna stick in that role. But I don't know, man. If I'm a Dolphins fan or a Dolphins coach, I'm thinking we got to have a backup plan here because we can't rely on this guy who's one concussion away from being in a
Death.
loony bin.
Yeah, I agree. I never consider Miami, but yeah, if I'm making that phone call if I'm Miami for sure. Um, no, I think it'll be the Carolina Panthers. I think he's going to look at that division
That's right.
and go, okay, this is going to be a free home playoff game
Yeah.
if I go to the Panthers. And it's Frank Reich, again, offensive minded coach, great with
Yep.
quarterbacks. I mean, he helped Carson Wentz get into the playoffs. He's been just throughout his career great developing quarterbacks. So Derek Carr knows he's going to go to a quarterback friendly system, and Charlotte's a cool town. There's a lot to do there. He's a pretty conservative dude, so being in the Bible Belt probably a big step up from Sin City in his mind. Um, So yeah, Charlotte to me just makes a lot of sense. Going to the Panthers, getting a free home playoff game in the much weaker NFC, right? Get the hell out of the AFC. If you want to win playoff games, come to the NFC where there's two competitive teams.
Definitely think the Panthers make more sense for both
Yeah,
the team and the player there. So I could see that. We'll see how it all plays out. It could go all the way up until right before the draft before he
could be.
signs with a new team. New head coaches that are getting their first time gig as the HC in their designated teams. The Indianapolis Colts, they have hired Eagles offensive coordinator Shane. Is it Steichen or Steichen? I want to
I
say
think it's
Steichen.
Steichen. I've
Oh, it is
heard
Steichen.
I've heard from what I've heard it's Steichen.
Okay.
That's how the people on TV are saying it.
Okay. So Eagles lose their offensive coordinator, which of course could bode well for us, Redskins and Cowboys and Giants fans. Man, it's not even that early now, so I can't even use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
And the Eagles also part ways with their defensive coordinator, not because they wanted to, but he is now the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon. That one I can say without hesitation. Don't know much about these guys. So, although I do know they had a extremely successful year this past season
Yeah.
as a coordinator. So we'll see how that plays out. Those were the only two I had jotted down. There were no other head coaching hires that I'm missing there, right, Josh?
No, I mean, we covered Sean Payton last week, so that's obviously the big one. But no, I mean, good for them. I don't know. First year head coaches, like, you never really know, right?
No.
Like, we could say definitively Frank Reich did a good job with the Colts. I think he'll do a good job with the Panthers. These two guys are totally unknown, right? Who, oh my God, the Broncos coach last year who was a fucking disaster, right? We all thought like,
Nathaniel
ooh,
Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett, oh, that could be a really good hire, and he ended up being god awful. So I just gonna take more of a wait and see approach with these guys. I don't know if they're gonna be good or bad or what, but we shall see. But yes, if this hurts the Eagles, I am all in favor for it.
And finally, in other football related news, the XFL season kicks off today. I know you're pumped, Josh. I can see it in your eyes. You are
Can't wait.
ready. You're going to be sitting in front of that TV, 2 o'clock Central Time, watching on ABC to see who wins between the Vegas Vipers and the Arlington Renegades. Again, that's getting actually kicked off here within the next 2 hour, an hour and a half. And
Shit, dude, hurry up, hurry up.
no, quick! That's also our parlay. We picked the
the
4
XFL,
games.
the XFL parlay.
God, it's gonna happen. Get ready.
It's gonna happen.
And the game, of course, I'll be looking forward to is the DC Defenders playing the Seattle Sea Dragons tomorrow Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. So, again,
I'm a big Sea Dragons guy.
I know. I knew you'd be a Sea Dragons guy, but yeah, of course, DC has a team, so of course I'm gonna watch, and it's cool that we get to see him on ABC or ESPN this season. Um, so yeah, I mean, and I mentioned to you earlier today that Greg Williams is the defensive coordinator for the DC Defenders. So there, that defense; those defenders are going to be nasty on
Yeah,
defense.
yeah, because you can bribe people to like hurt other players
It's
in
legal in the
the X.
XFL.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
legal in the XFL. That's why
Hmm.
it's a perfect fit. Because yeah, he got suspended in the NFL. It was frowned upon. In the XFL, they're like, no, 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 bounties aplenty. Go nuts with the bounties. We're good on that. No, I mean, dude, we talked about this a little bit earlier. I am all in favor for a second football league. I think it's great. It's everyone's favorite sport, so why not try and get involved with it year round, right? Uh, but yeah, it has been hard for me to really get into it. But I will try and make a conscious effort to pay more attention to the XFL because you do end up seeing some guys that go into the NFL at some point, right? PJ Walker last year
Yep.
was like, who's this kid? Came in from the XFL and was lighting it up for a few weeks. So, I mean, there's always a chance, right? So it's worth looking into, even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah, I just for the XFL's sake, for the USFL's sake, I hope viewership is up. I hope attendance is up. I want these alternative leagues to grow because it'll get us potentially closer to what we were discussing earlier, which is that
Yeah.
farm system for the NFL. So,
Yeah, ultimately that's when people will really start paying attention, is when it's
mhm.
sort of a farm league, minor league type situation. You have these teams feeding into the pro teams, and you can start watching for players to pop off in, these smaller systems and go, "Ooh, look at this wide receiver. Maybe he'll get called up to the majors and he'll be a stud on my favorite team." That's when people will really start paying attention. And personally, I'm surprised that we haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm sure there's been talks. I'm sure they're just trying to figure out the logistics of it all. But that's when we'll really see a rise in popularity.
And plus just having football on in general that's
Of
entertaining,
course, of
it
course.
helps speed up this off season, right?
Yeah, I
We're
agree.
we're 2 months away from the draft, so that should just fly by. And you had some headlines you wanted to get to, Josh.
Well, it's not necessarily a headline, but I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least bring up the NBA this week of all weeks, right? Because it is the All-Star weekend.
Yep.
We've ignored the NBA for 3, 4 months now. We
Just
haven't,
buried it. Just
we just
buried
buried
it.
it deep down under the NFL. And I'm still an NBA guy. I still love the NBA, but even I haven't really paid that much attention this year. And I think we'll dig deeper starting next week, in terms of looking forward, who has the best chance to make a run into the playoffs. These, like, a lot of trades happened, right? How does this affect the new teams? All that. We're not going to do a deep dive this week, but again, we'd be remiss if we didn't just bring up the fact that it's All-Star weekend. Last night we had the Rising Stars game and the Celebrity game. I saw the highlights, looked entertaining. Tonight we've got the skills competition, three-point contest, and dunk contest. So I'll definitely be tuning into those because it's always entertaining, right? Even though the dunk contest, we talked about it a year ago, this time, the JaVale
Hmm.
McGee robbery
Never
really turned
forget.
us off, but
Never forget.
it's still entertaining, and I think it's still worth watching. And from what I've heard, they've made some tweaks. Now would be a good time to bring up those tweaks, but I don't know exactly what they are, so I'll move on.
Trampoline.
And then tomorrow is the actual All-Star game. They are switching it up a little bit this year, whereas last year they still had team captains that picked their players, right? Kind of playground style. Um, this year they're doing it right before the game, so we don't even know what the lineups are yet. And I think that's kind of a cool last minute addition, right? That
Yeah.
is true playground style, where you pick your team, you don't even practice together, you just go right out on the court. That's kind of cool. I do like that aspect. LeBron and Giannis are the team captains, so good drama there. And I think it'll be entertaining. So I will be tuning in. And I definitely want to get back into more NBA talk moving forward, because that's the thing to do now, that the NFL season's over.
It'll be March before you know it, and we'll be talking a lot more basketball in the coming
Yeah,
weeks.
especially oh, dude, March Madness is around the corner. God, I cannot fucking wait. Oh, it's
Oh, yeah.
so good. It's so good. So yeah, that's my spiel. Not exactly a headline, but something that should be mentioned.
Yeah. Just a taste of things to come.
A taste of things to come. Cheers.
We also need to, well, I would like to mention that I'm trying to get our NHL expert back for a little segment.
Yeah.
Daniel has been waiting patiently in the wings to make a return and, get us up to speed on what's going on in the
I
National
have
Hockey
I
League.
have
And
no idea what
not a
is happening.
clue, not a clue. I do know that the Caps have been shitting it recently, so I'm sure he'll have a lot to vent about on that side. But yeah,
Coaching
just
carousel?
There might be some coaching carousel
All right,
news.
now we're talking.
Yeah, yeah.
The people
So
want it. I get emails
yeah.
every day like, "Where's Daniel? Where's the coaching carousel?" So
So
yeah, the people are begging for it.
hopefully we'll have him on for his NHL piece next week.
Perfect.
All right. Well, hey, guess we got to go through the Super Bowl that was Super Bowl 57. Was an absolute thriller as hoped. And in the end, Kansas City Chiefs win their second Super Bowl in 4 years, beating the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. It was the Eagles who drew first blood with an impressive opening drive, 11 plays for 75 yards, but the Chiefs quickly countered with a clinical opening drive of their own, only 6 plays, also 75 yards. And it was just one of those back and forth games, man. It was exactly what I hoped for. Of course, my prediction had the Eagles coming out on top. Happy I was wrong, by the way.
Yep.
And the Chiefs actually didn't lead until 3 minutes into the fourth quarter when they made it 28-27. That was following a 5-yard touchdown reception by Kadarius Toney. And that sealed the parlay victory for your boys at Brash Sports. So everyone that played along with us, congratulations, turning that $6 into 420.
Dude, I can't believe it's been 20 minutes now that we've been recording and we haven't brought up the fact that we hit our biggest parlay ever on the Super Bowl, the most improbable odds that we've ever thrown out there.
I just I
Unbelievable
just kept
run.
I kept texting you those green check marks every time we got one. And then we predicted that if we were going to do it, the last one to hit would be Kadarius Toney getting a touchdown, and it
Sure
couldn't have
enough.
worked out any better.
Oh,
And
it
there
was
was
so
still
good.
plenty. There was still 12 minutes in the game to spare.
Yeah,
So I
we could
mean,
have. I was thinking about that. We could have stretched it out a bit because we took alternate lines on um, Kelsey's receiving yards and Pacheco's rushing yards. They the normal spread would have hit, so we would have been like $6 to win 500 something probably.
hey,
But who
I'm not
cares?
complaining.
I'm not complaining at all. Bottom line is we absolutely crushed it. We absolutely crushed it.
And
So
420 that wipes out all the parlays we didn't hit, right?
yeah,
So yeah,
if you take all the parlays we did and the two that we've hit and add it up, we've got to be because we're up like $600 now or something. There's
yeah,
no way we've done 100 parlays, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
we're up a good
So
amount now after
yeah,
that hit.
we've got to be up at least what, $500?
Yeah, I don't know. My brain can't do math right now, but you do
Because I'm saying,
six times however many parlays we've done, which is
maybe
probably
not.
like
We've
30.
done quite a lot. Okay, 450. That's a safe bet.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, if we've done 30 parlays at $6 a piece, that's $180. We've probably made 600. So minus that, yeah, 420 bucks we're up. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, so I mean, I hope to see some new additions to your studio soon, Josh, because with
No,
those winnings,
I think we're good over here.
we
I
gotta see something. Get yourself a flag. Get yourself,
no,
get yourself a
no.
huge John Daly framed picture and just put that on
I
the back
I
wall.
have the autograph around
A
here
John
somewhere.
Daly fathead.
I like that. No, we will. I think in the off season is when we should revamp. We should revamp everything. We'll get some better
Okay.
equipment, so I'm not a fucking McDonald's drive-through order taker, and we'll we'll make some upgrades and take it into next season. I think that should be the plan. I don't know. We'll have to talk to Anderson, our producer, and see what he thinks. But he's already talking about giving himself a bonus with our winnings, but that's not going to happen. We're going to reinvest the money back into the podcast and try and make it less shitty.
So, of course, we were feeling great during the Super Bowl. Of course, the Chiefs got the win, and we hit our parlay. Halftime show, I wasn't really that excited about. I thought it was pretty lame. None of us had the bold prediction that Rihanna was going to be pregnant. I did not
No,
see that coming. I
nope.
had no idea.
Neither did
Uh,
she.
Yeah,
She
right.
did not see anything coming, and
So,
then it came.
the game actually concluded on a game-winning 27-yard field goal by Harrison Butker, and that was following the controversial holding call on James Bradbury, which, I mean, it's really just controversial for Philly fans because the fact is the Chiefs were rolling down the field. That it wouldn't have been controversial if that didn't happen on third down.
Right.
But it was 35-35. The Chiefs were already in field goal range. Yes, it made it a lot easier for them. And that penalty did allow the Chiefs to drain the clock down to only 8 seconds by the time they handed possession back to the Eagles. But, I mean, there's been questionable calls all year.
Yeah.
And, if it's, it's going to happen in the Super Bowl too sometimes. So, in the end, the Chiefs got the win. They deserve it. And, yeah, just I think it's just a really exciting and fun Super Bowl for the neutral fan.
I agree. It was one of the most exciting that I've seen in a long time. One of the best Super Bowls I can remember. It does suck when the refs put the whistle in their pocket all game and then pull it out at a pivotal moment like that. It's kind of
That's
like, okay,
it's the consistency
it's
factor.
the
That's the
consistency factor is annoying, and yeah, it was a hold. You could have called that at any point in the game, but you weren't early. You did late. Kind of shitty.
mm,
And again, I think it would have been more interesting if Kansas City kicks the field goal, they're up 3, and then put it on Jalen Hurts. You got 90 seconds to go down the field and either get a field goal or touchdown. They kind of took that from us, which sucks
yeah,
because who knows?
and
That game could have gone to overtime and whatever, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, everybody was kind of hurt by that, but at the end of the day, I don't have a huge problem with it because it was an actual hold. Like, he could have gone out and got the touchdown, right? If he wasn't held.
Yep.
So, whatever, right? I
And it's
hate
Philly.
talking about refs after.
It's Philly.
And it's
Sorry.
Philly, right? Yeah, I wanted to see Philly lose. What's funny is if we look back on our predictions for the game, like you were way closer to the correct score. I was closer to the correct outcome.
Yep.
So we really split. Anytime we were in disagreement, it was actually like a split because yeah, you called aspects of this game spot on. I called some spot on. So when we put our heads together and are in agreement, we're actually pretty good at this thing. So hell of a
Coin
game.
coin flip, I believe, went
It,
heads, right?
yeah, coin flip. No,
Oh
coin
no,
flip
the
went
Chiefs
tails.
called tails. Yes, and then
Chiefs
they
called tails. So
they deferred too.
right. So I said
Yeah,
the Chiefs. I said it would be heads and the Chiefs would win. You said it would be tails and the Eagles would win.
yeah.
Turns out the Chiefs won, but it was tails. So again, we just split perfectly like with all of these. So we don't even need to recap, right? Like what we got right, what we got wrong. We really just split everything down the middle. You got the closer score. I got the right team. Whatever,
And
right?
for the
At,
record, they did not show the Gatorade at the end, but I've heard that it was purple. That's what I'm hearing from all
really?
accounts. It was purple, which is a curveball. Didn't see
Yeah,
that
and
one coming.
it had to have happened, and I do remember seeing this. It had to have happened before the end of the game because when the clock hit 0 and everyone came out in the field, Reed was already soaked. So we both got that right. But yeah, dude, I think everybody's a winner when the game is as entertaining as it was. Um, what did you think about commercials? Any commercials stand out in your mind? Did you pay attention? Were you
Yeah,
watching?
no, I mean, I was paying attention, but yeah, nothing got me.
I think it was weak year for commercials. There was
Yeah,
there was one that I liked that was the Breaking Bad reference.
that's
I thought
right.
that I
That
thought
was
that was
good.
really I thought that was really well done. Um, and then there was the one there where it looked like your TV was like jumping to another channel or
The
another
Tubi one, that's the one everyone's talking about because it
everyone's
fucked
talking
with
about it.
people. I did
Dude,
like that.
such a smart ad because yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's talking about it.
Everyone's
And
like,
yeah, I did
"What's
the
going
same thing.
on?"
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
the same thing. I was like, I looked at my remote like, fuck, what the
For
hell?
a split second,
Yep,
I
yep.
I was gonna
It got
grab the
me.
remote, and I'm like, "No, no, no. I know what's going on
Yeah,
here."
it got me
I
for
was
a
wise
second
to
too.
it.
Yeah, it was but very well done. But other than those two, everything was extremely forgettable.
Yeah.
Weak year for ads.
I
Yeah,
was hoping
weak.
I was hoping more out of the M&Ms, but it was still
Yeah,
funny. I mean, the little clam bites, I thought that was pretty good.
yeah.
Showing people eat clam M&Ms, you know.
They make the face and then smile.
Yeah,
That was all
yeah,
right.
that was
Uh,
good. But I
the
don't know.
halftime, I was underwhelmed by the halftime show as well.
No surprise appearances,
No, which
nothing.
shocked me. Shocked me. I
And
thought for
Rihanna,
sure Jay-Z.
pregnant Rihanna was just on that same platform the whole time. She did walk off like for a little bit and then walk back on. I don't know. I think they just put so much effort into that whole thing with the three different platforms floating around all over the place that they said, fuck it, we don't need anything else. But hey, a lot of people out there, I guess tons of Rihanna fans, they were fine with it. But yeah, I was just waiting to see something, you know. I mean, I was really hoping to see
Again,
Jay-Z.
yeah, I wasn't I didn't hate it, but I certainly this is one that I will definitely forget. Where it's
Yeah.
like
Oh
you
yeah.
remember iconic performances like Prince, for example, will always stick out in my mind. Like he fucking rocked it. He nailed it.
Yep.
But yeah, this one will be easily forgotten. Nothing crazy happened, whatever. My favorite tweet after it was someone said it looked like it was a Super Smash Brothers level, which fucking cracked me up because
Wow, yeah.
it definitely was a Super Smash Brothers level that they were playing on. But otherwise, yeah, kind of weak, man. Weak commercials, weak halftime, but made up for it was the incredible game that we got to see.
Yep, Super Bowl was a great success and another one in the books. And we're off to another off season, which means it is time for your boys at Brash to make their bold predictions for the upcoming off season and season. So I guess how do you want to do this? Just each of us roll through our four bold predictions.
Yeah, I think we take turns. Oh, you have four. I did five.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Why?
so so
Okay.
why don't I'll go first,
Okay.
right? I'll go first. I'll do my first one, then you do one, and we'll discuss. But yeah, it's tradition to do the week after the Super Bowl. The furthest point from when these things could actually happen, we're just gonna throw some shit out there. Obviously, we're wildly off last year.
For the record, you went 1 for 4 last time,
Yeah,
and I went 0 for 4. So that's
yeah.
those are the standings right now.
I went heavy on Trevor Lawrence last year, and he came through, man. He showed up for me, so
Yep.
appreciate that. Now I am going to kind of go back to the well, like I did last year with my first prediction. I'm going to double down, and this is so stupid because I
Uh oh.
cursed it all year long. I cursed this team, but I think the Broncos are going to make the playoffs, and I think Sean Payton is going to be coach of the year, and I think Russell Wilson will be the comeback player of the year
Ooh.
based on the fact that he is such a good coach and Russ was so embarrassed after his play last year. I think he really comes through and they turn things around. It's still a great roster, still great weapons. There's no reason that this shouldn't work. So I'm not going to go as bold as I did last year and say that they're going to win the division, but I think they make the playoffs and I think Sean Payton coach of the year, Russell Wilson comeback player of the year.
I don't hate it. Don't hate
Okay.
it. Absolutely could see that happen. Sean Payton is legit, and if anybody could get that team turned around lickety split, it would be him.
Yes.
I tried to go in an order in the proper order that things would occur.
Okay.
So my first one, of course, diehard, lifelong Redskins fan, so had to go Commanders. And my this is a two-part. Jeff Bezos buys the Commanders. That one not so bold because if it's a bidding war, he wins. He's already
Yeah.
expressed interest. There's rumors that he is willing to part ways with the Washington Post in order to make some financial space for the $7 billion team. So I got the Bezos purchasing the Commanders, becoming the new owner. See you later, Dan Snyder. And but the bold part about this is in his press conference, which honestly, I don't even know if they're going to do one. Plus, Jeff Bezos is a weirdo.
Yeah.
It's very antisocial. So, they probably won't even have one, but I feel like they kind of would have to because it's such a big deal. And his promise to the Redskins or Commanders faithful is that he plans to bring the team back to DC. So that is my first bold prediction.
I like that. No, I like that a lot, and I think it makes sense for a lot of reasons. And I would love to see that. I mean, I think and I think Commanders fans will want nothing more. And dude, fucking tear down RFK Stadium and put up a kick-ass stadium there.
It's
Like, just do it.
it's supposed to be
Just do it.
demolished soon. It's going to happen very, very soon.
Oh, it okay, I didn't know that,
Oh
but it
yeah,
yeah, of
yeah,
course, why would it's rotting at this point. Like, when DC United was using it, at least it was still getting some use, but
man.
now
Good
it's just
times.
fucking sitting there. What is the point? Tear that thing down,
It's the
bring the
perfect
Commanders
spot.
back. Yeah,
Perfect
it
spot.
really is. It really is. So, I like that one a lot. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
All right. My next bold prediction is that the Detroit Lions will win the NFC North and Jared Goff will be an MVP finalist because he puts up huge numbers
Wow.
this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he wins the MVP, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think Jared Goff is absolutely in the conversation for MVP. I think the Vikings take a step back. I think Green Bay is reeling. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is even going to play this year. I don't know. That's not necessarily bold enough. Didn't make my list, but I think there's a decent enough chance that Rodgers is gone. So I think that leaves the door wide open for the Lions. Again, not super bold. A lot of people are high on the Lions this year, but to win the division, I think would be very bold, especially because Minnesota played great last year, right? And they're not
Yeah.
really making any huge changes. So give me the Lions to win the North and give me Jared Goff as an MVP finalist in the conversation.
Wow. All right. So the Lions kind of pick up from where they left off.
Yeah, just
Because hot
surging.
finish. Yeah. I don't hate that either. You mentioned Aaron Rodgers. That is my next bold prediction.
Oh, really? That's funny.
And it is he's stepping out of the darkness here pretty soon.
Yep.
And I mean, shit, the sunlight's gonna burn his retina. His eyes are gonna be all fucked up because you know how it is stepping out of a movie theater. I mean, you're
Yeah.
in the dark for 4 days. It's gonna take some time to adjust, but frankly, I think Aaron Rodgers just simply becomes too much of a problem for the Green Bay Packers, and they are too well respected of an organization to put up with the shit and the fucking mind games. And it's they don't want him to distract the squad from the upcoming season. I have the Packers releasing Aaron Rodgers before the
Wow.
draft, not a
Not a
trade. They
not a trade.
release him. They release him. They just cut ties. See you later, you fucking asshole. That's what they say
So before the draft,
before the
because
draft.
isn't there? I think they have some sort of they take some sort of massive cap hit if they do that. Um, but if they wait until after the draft, I think it's less of a cap hit.
Really?
So it could be. I think you could be right. I think there's a very good chance that they release him like early in the off season. But my guess would be it's after the draft, but you could be right. They might be so fucking sick of his shit. And I've been saying that for a couple years now, even on record in this podcast. Like eventually you've got to look in the mirror and go, dude, this guy is not so good that we we should be putting up with all this shit, right? And eventually it becomes a detriment. Last year they didn't make the playoffs. Why are you fucking bending over for this guy? He can't even get you to the playoffs in that division. So, yeah, they've got to cut ties. They got to do something. I don't know if it's a release or a trade or whatever, but I love that prediction
It
because,
wouldn't be a bold prediction if it weren't so specific. I had to say the
yeah,
releasing him, and it's before the draft.
that's very
That's
true.
what makes it brash bold, Josh.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. We shall see. I like that yours are going to be relatively recent. Like we'll know that one in the next 2
Oh
months.
yeah, yeah.
Mine are like, we're gonna have to wait until next January to know
My
half of
next
mine.
my next two are we're gonna have to wait for.
All right. So my next one, I've got the Jaguars will be the number 1 seed in the AFC going into
Oh,
the playoffs. I think they put up a just
uh,
massive regular season. So number 1 seed in the AFC, and I think Trevor Lawrence will be the MVP of the league this year.
wow. Okay. Well, man, you kind of touched on both of my last two, mentioning
Really?
a particular team and the MVP. But yeah, my next one is the Jacksonville Jaguars
Oh
making it
shit.
to the AFC Championship game. So that's
I
funny.
see.
Didn't know. I had no idea about your bold predictions before I threw that out there. But
I
yeah, I
made
have.
these like last Tuesday.
Okay, well, I just kind of whipped mine together last minute, but it doesn't matter. I feel pretty good about it. Jacksonville Jaguars reached the AFC Championship game. You
Okay.
know,
So we're on the
that's
same page.
it's pretty
I like
bold.
that.
Pretty bold.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely. I do not have them making the AFC Championship game, but I do
ooh,
have them as a number 1. Now they could make the AFC Championship game. That wasn't my prediction. I just think
okay.
they've got that number 1 seed. They've got that bye week. They've got a really, really weak. Their schedule's relatively weak based on their division and who the division that they're matched up against. So I think they just get a ton of wins. I think they're like a 15. They could be a 15-win team and get that bye week heading into the playoffs. So I like that. We're on the same page.
Yeah,
Now, Trevor Lawrence as the NFL MVP, I think, is probably the bolder of the two. But I have a really good feeling that he puts up crazy numbers this year. And if your team wins 14, 15 games, they're going to be pretty inclined to give it to you. So give me those as
that's
my
yeah, it's kind of a twofer right
dude.
there.
A lot of mine. So I have I have 5 bold predictions, but it's really like 10 or 12. Like I have like
Okay,
2 or 3 in each one. Um, but they all they go together, right? So for my next one, I've got the Jets will win the AFC East with a new quarterback. I'm not calling the new quarterback, but my gut feeling is that it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy G, I could just see him
ah,
as I could see him as a New
San
York Jet.
Francisco ties with with Sala. Yeah, I know. I see what you're doing there.
Yeah, I think Jimmy G is going to be the Jets quarterback, and I think they'll win the AFC West, which also means that the Bills will struggle to make the wild card in the AFC, which is obviously more talented than the NFC. And I think Sean McDermott is going to get fired after an early playoff exit by the Bills.
Ooh,
So
okay.
that's like a 4-parter here. Jets Jets win the AFC East. They get a new quarterback, obviously. Bills struggle to make wild card. Sean McDermott fired. So there's a threefer.
I completely agree that Sean McDermott will get canned if the Bills don't win the Super Bowl this
Yeah,
next season. I 100% agree with you there.
but I think
Um,
they lose a wild card game and are out and like early after just struggling to get in the playoffs. Like I think the Jets win the East. That roster is stacked, and I think the Dolphins are trending down. New England's trending down. Buffalo's trending down. Jets are trending up, man. And if they're healthy, all those rookies that are just popping off the screen for them, getting another year under
yeah.
their belt. I love the Jets this year. So yeah,
All right. Yeah, that's certainly bold. Putting any
very
stock
bold.
in those Jets. My last one, isn't really doesn't sound too bold, so I had to add a little bit to it to spice it up and make it
Okay.
bold. Um, you have Trevor Lawrence as you said MVP finalist or MVP?
No, I have Jared Goff as a finalist.
Jared
I've
Goff
got
is the finalist. Trevor
Trevor
Lawrence
Lawrence
as the
as
MVP.
the
Okay,
winner.
so
Yeah,
I made an MVP pick too as one of my bold predictions, and I went with my favorite quarterback, Joe Burrow, getting the MVP this
I like
upcoming
that.
season. And to add on to that, because it's really not that bold. I mean, the guy is obviously headed in that direction. But I had to throw something in there, so I have him eclipsing 45 touchdown passes
Wow.
in the
Okay.
regular season. That's
I like
right.
that. I like that. Yeah, that's only been done a couple times, so that would be big.
Yep.
Especially because I don't know if they're going to keep T. Higgins. There's a lot of rumors swirling that T. Higgins will not be a Bengal next year. So if he does it, he's going to have to either have rookies or they're going to bring somebody else in, or Jamar Chase is going to need 37 touchdowns to get there. But no, I like that. That is bold. That is very bold. But Joe Burrow, obviously, I've got all the faith in the world in that kid. So would not surprise me at all. Um, Man, I feel like that's a sneak preview into your Super Bowl pick too. But we won't rush that. We won't rush that. My my fifth and final bold prediction. Again, I for whatever reason I did five. I thought five was the number, but I think the Cardinals will win the Super Bowl. I'm just kidding. The Cardinals will finish with the worst record in the NFL. I think they draft Caleb Williams in next year's draft, and they cut ties with Kyler Murray officially.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow.
that big old contract, they're gonna fucking get the hell out of there. They're gonna take Caleb Williams with the number one overall pick in 2024. Um, and yeah, the Cardinals are gonna be god awful this year. So there we go. That
All
is my
right.
final bold prediction.
All right. Right on. Now, before we make our Super Bowl 58 predictions, I'm just going to jot down what I think you picked.
I've got
And,
down what I think you picked as well.
well,
I've got
yeah,
it.
pretty sure you got at least 50% of it.
Yeah.
But let me. All
And we're doing
right.
scores too. Don't forget the score. And I
Yep.
feel
Yep.
I
Yep.
feel so good that I think I nailed your picks at
Dude, that'd
least
be
50%. I've
hilarious.
nailed 50%. And I feel so good about nailing your score.
All right. All right. Hold on
And you've
here.
got it on paper too, right? So when I get it, hold the paper up because people will think it's staged, that we planned this ahead of time. We did not plan this at all. Just like we don't plan anything, we're keeping true to the theme of brash sports getting thrown together last second with duct tape and chewing gum. So
All right.
whenever you're ready.
Oh, I had something down, and then for you, and then I changed one of the
Ooh,
conference champions because I'm like, no,
ooh.
I think you probably went in this direction.
Oh,
All right, now I got to go with the score here, and I will say
this is
this
good.
and that.
I
Okay.
love that you're overthinking because mine is relatively chalky.
Okay. And I'll say sorry, dude. There we go. All right. A little
Dead
sloppy handwriting there.
air.
Okay. All right. So, what do you have me predicted as my Super Bowl and the score, Josh?
All right. I think that you are going to go Bengals,
Okay.
defeating the Eagles 31-27.
So close.
Dude,
31-23. MVP Joe Burrow. God
so
damn.
close.
So close. When you said 31, I was like, oh my God, he's actually going to nail it.
Dude, that's fucking
All
wild.
right. All right. All
Let's
right.
go.
Now,
God, I know you so. It's
because you got my Super Bowl prediction, I'm not going to get either of the two teams that you
dude, it's
predicted.
almost like we've been best friends for 20 years or something. I just fucking know you so well.
I have you having the Chiefs returning to the Super Bowl and playing the San Francisco 49ers, and the 49ers winning 27-24.
Oh, dude. All right. I'm not lying. I don't have it on paper, but I have it on my secondary screen. I'm almost tempted to lift it up and show you. I have the Chiefs defeating the 49ers 27-23. So,
Oh, damn
dude,
it.
so
I
I
just,
have the Chiefs winning. I have the repeat happening, but you got both teams right and you got
all
the score
right.
within 1 point.
All right.
So, dude, what a guess. Wow.
Yeah. All right, man. You're right. That was pretty good by both of us.
Very good. I've got Patrick Mahomes as the MVP, obviously.
Yeah.
Another
I gave
another
McCaffrey as the MVP on your end if the 49ers had won, but yeah.
okay. Now my bold prediction after this, I think Andy Reid retires after this Super Bowl.
Okay,
I think he wins it.
I
He
like
goes
that.
back to back, and then he hangs it up.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good time to ride out into the sunset. So,
Yeah. Dude,
okay,
that's crazy, man. When you
yeah.
said that score, I was like, "Oh my fucking god, he nailed it. He nailed it." Wow, dude. Good for
Oh,
us.
yeah, that was
Good for
good.
us.
We did not do that last year. We didn't predict what. Now, last year, again, even though I did pick both number 1 seeds, it seems like it was forever ago because I had the Titans and the Packers,
Oof,
and it just yeah, and they both just had horrendous
unraveled.
seasons. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that just didn't really play out. So I feel like I'm playing it a little safer, but hey, you never fucking know. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. You never know. But that's why I said mine is super chalky too. But realistically in the NFC, I mean, it's Eagles or 49ers, and I don't think it's relatively close. Like Dallas is not going to be that good. I think Detroit will be really good, but they're not going to make a deep playoff run to the Super Bowl, I don't think.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think it's the NFC is pretty easy to predict, but I think in the AFC it could be like 4 or 5 teams that if any of those teams went to the Super Bowl, I'd like, okay, that actually I could see that happening, right?
yep.
So AFC is way harder to predict, but I do think the Chiefs are gonna repeat. Um, I saw a stat that really convinced me. They were second in the league in terms of rookie starting minutes. So you think of this a team that goes and wins the Super Bowl like, oh, they've got to have a bunch of veteran players and blah blah blah. No, they're actually one of the youngest teams in the league. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that dude, they're gonna be they got dynasty written all over them. Andy Reid retiring would be a huge kick in the ass for him, especially now that Bieniemy's not coming back. But I think they've got the players and they've got the quarterback to really make a dynasty run happen. So
I mean, really, in my opinion, even if they lost or didn't go to the Super Bowl next year and won the following season, you could still consider them a dynasty, right? As long as
yeah,
it's the core group of guys and you're talking, 3 Super Bowls in 6 years.
yeah,
That's dynasty.
absolutely. You need to get to 3 though. You
You
got to
got to
get
get to
that
3. You
you
got to get
got to
that
get
3.
that
Yeah.
third win to be a dynasty, and it has to be within like I would say yeah an 8 year period. If you get 3 wins in 8 years, that's almost 50% of all the Super Bowls you're winning in an 8 year span. That's pretty fucking good. And that's dynasty material. But once you start talking 3 wins in 9 plus years or only 2 wins, even if it's back to back, like I don't consider the Denver Broncos that won back to back with Elway. That's not a dynasty. You got to get that third. That
You have to get the
three
third.
is where it really, because I heard people even saying that, like, well, the Chiefs have been to 5 straight AFC championship games. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
You
Yep.
need Super Bowl wins, and that magic number for dynasty is 3 in my mind.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're looking at all the bowl predictions and Super Bowl predictions combined, that would mean I don't even have the Chiefs making it to the AFC Championship game because it would
Oh,
be
wow.
the Bengals versus the
Yeah,
Jaguars
you're right.
in,
Wow.
yeah, the Jungle Bowl.
I could see it happening though, dude. As much as I think the Chiefs are going to repeat, would I be shocked if we're sitting there, you know, 50 weeks from now or 49 weeks from now? Like, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Jags, Bengals, and sure, that makes sense.
Yep.
I've got Lawrence as the MVP. Like, I've got them as the number
Yeah.
one seed. Why would I be shocked
Yeah. If they're
if they're
having
in
that
the
good,
championship game?
yeah. And Doug Peterson has that experience, right? He knows how to get a team to the promised land. So,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Well,
well,
dude, these are bold. Make sure we keep
oh,
keep
yeah.
these on hand.
Holding on to this.
We got to hold on to these because I really like them, and I think, we'll look back on these with way more success than the ones we made last year. Is my gut with our
I got to
predictions.
get at least one of my bold predictions. I can't go 0 for 4 again. Otherwise, I got to stop. I have to retire from bold predictions if I go 0 for 4.
I think your best bet is actually Jags AFC Championship game. I love that one. I love that one.
I like the Bezos one too. And
Yep.
promising the fans to bring the team back to DC. It's just an easy, cheap way to win over with the fans,
True. He would
So
be beloved instantly.
yeah,
Instantly.
yep. So not promised to bring him back to the Super Bowl, but promised to bring him back to DC. At least that's
No,
doable.
I was gonna say he's not that stupid.
No. All right. Well,
There it is.
that's it. That's the Super Bowl recap episode. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. And yeah, we'll be back next week, hopefully, with our NHL expert Daniel to get us caught up on the ice. But until
And lots
then,
of NBA talk next week too. Just joshing.
yep,
Just joshing.
we're gonna have some basketball and hockey next week. We're moving and maybe a little XFL. We'll see how things go. That game's kicking off in 30
Yeah,
minutes.
we'll
So
see. We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. All right. I know I want you
Peace.
so bad. All right, buddy. Talk to you
See you,
later.
man.
Peace.
Woo!